Back in Ottawa, there have been a lot of questions in the House of Commons about the issue of alleged Chinese interference in the 2019 election, and have been a number of answers from your ministers who were there. What's preventing your government from giving more information on who those 11 people are?
Okay. Our government has always taken very seriously the responsibility of protecting Canadians, working with our security agencies to do everything we can to keep Canadians and our institutions safe against foreign interference. I have asked my officials to examine these media reports and give all the possible answers, everything they can, to the parliamentary committee that's looking into this. But let me be clear.
Let me be clear.
Any information, nor have I been briefed on any federal candidates receiving any money from China.
China. Can we go break down the anatomy of a liar and the anatomy of a lie? Let's just start this again. Good morning, everyone. No, good afternoon. Come on, play again.
Back in Ottawa, there have been a lot.
Oh, by the way, after all of that cockamamie, evasive answer, does anyone remember what the question was? I remember what the question was. Why can't you name the 11 federal officials who are alleged to have taken money from China? That was the question.
A lot of questions in the House of Commons about the issue of alleged.
Sorry,
Chinese
I might be talking
interference
too
in the
loud. I can't
2019
get this audio
A
louder.
number of answers from your ministers who were there.
Can't go louder.
What's preventing your government from giving more information on who those 11 people are?
What's preventing your government from giving more information on who those 11 individuals are? The 11 individuals who even Canadian media had to report might have had some Chinese influence. And I love the fact that the idea of Chinese influence on federal officials is shocking and offensive because it relates to Canadian security. But training Chinese soldiers for winter wartime conditions on Canadian soil is somehow okay until it gets discovered, and then they no longer do it. Why can't your administration give us more information on the 11 officials who are alleged to have taken money from China for the federal elections? Look at that. Look at that face. He's holding in his own verbal diarrhea. Okay. Why are you asking me this again? You're not supposed to be asking me this. Okay.
Our government has always taken very seriously the responsibility of protecting Canadians, of working with our security agencies to do everything we can to keep Canadians and our institutions
safe. Keep everyone safe.
Safe against foreign interference.
Against foreign interference. That's why we were training Chinese soldiers on Canadian soil.
I have asked my officials to examine.
Why can't you identify the 11? That was the question. I've asked
these media reports.
Oh, examine the media reports.
And give all possible answers, everything they can, to the parliamentary committee.
Wait for the lie.
Looking into this
right now.
But let me be clear.
Let me be clear is followed by a lie. Let me be clear.
I do not have any information, nor have I been briefed.
I don't have any information, nor have I been briefed. Plausible deniability. Oh, that's great. Why would you not have any more information? You're only the Prime Minister of Canada, you lying buffoon.
On any federal candidates receiving any money from China.
Haven't been briefed. And you know what the beautiful thing about that is? Don't get briefed. Don't get briefed. And then you can always say, I have not been briefed and I have no. Oh, that's great. Close my eyes, block my ears, and I wish you would put duct tape over his mouth. There's a study now coming out that shows that if you tape your lips shut when you sleep, it might force you to breathe through your nose and might be good for, I don't know, something or other. Science community, my wife told me. I have not been briefed. Let me be clear. I have not been briefed. Okay, that's good. You're supposed to be briefed. You're supposed to have answers. You're a liar. But I also just love the way Mélanie Joly, Justin Trudeau always likes to have the women standing behind him. It's the defining image of Justin Trudeau. At least it's not Chrystia Freeland anymore, sitting there in the background, doing whatever she does in the background. Liar. Liar, pants on fire, and I can't wait for Justin Trudeau to testify during the for the Emergencies Act inquiry that is currently going on. First of all, before we do anything, good afternoon. Nice to see you. It's been, what? It's been 15 hours since we've seen each other? 15 hours. And yes, there's stuff to talk about. It's like, what's it like? It's like gathering around a campfire with friends. And there's always something to talk about. And not like talk about like gossip and like, oh, make fun of people. No. Substantive, meaningful news and law. We're going to get both. We're going to get both today. Okay, my favorite is when his eye started coming. I am sympathetic to people who may have behavioral disorders that cause them to do things to their own body that subsequently become publicly embarrassing. I think Justin Trudeau's got, probably under a lot of stress. In as much as I loathe him, and I mean I loathe him politically, probably personally, because it's impossible that someone who is such a political demon could possibly be a good person in real life, but I don't know him in real life. But I imagine nonetheless that being where Justin Trudeau is immensely stressful. I mean, you've got to walk around all day worried that people are going to discover your lies, your scandal, your treachery. That's got to be like sleeping with a clean conscience, even if you can't sleep at night, is still a lot more soothing than what Justin Trudeau must live with. I know people think he thinks he's morally virtuous and yada yada and has no second thoughts about what he's doing. He's got to walk around all day figuring out, how do I cover my various scandals? How do I cover the fact that there are more pictures of me in blackface than I can account for? How can I cover for the fact that in 2000, I was accused of having groped a reporter, apologized to her, and I'm confident I didn't misbehave? How can he rest knowing that you have the We Charity scandal, SNC Lavalin, Aga Khan, a bunch of others? It's got to be a life of stress to live under the shroud of lies and corruption that is Justin Trudeau. So I still have a bit of sympathy for him. But oh my goodness, he cannot be out. He cannot be voted out of office and shamed in the annals of history fast enough. Viva's rants on JT remind me of the Grinch when he says, hate, 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 loathe entirely. I still feel bad for Justin Trudeau, but he has been the most destructive force for Canada in the history of Canada. Now we're going to get into it. But before we get into it, people, hold on one second. I didn't bring up the window. I got to bring up the window. Before we get into it, I made sure that I checked the box because I have a fear. I have a fear of God, even if I don't believe in a capital G God. I have a fear of God. And I don't ever want people to think I'm immoral, deceitful, concealing anything, covering from it, whatever. I made sure that that box that says this video contains a paid promotion is checked, because this video contains a paid promotion, and it's one that I have grown to like quite a bit. Hold on, I didn't share the screen yet. Oh, look at that. I got the same color underneath. Field of Greens, people. Field of Greens from Brickhouse Nutrition. You get it at the website fieldofgreens.com, and it brings you over to Brickhouse Nutrition. It is powdered greens, desiccated greens, not an extract, not a supplement. Like beef jerky, pulverized vegetables and fruits, all in one spoonful. Most people don't know you're supposed to have 5 to 6 servings of vegetables a day. Most people know they don't have 5 to 6 servings of vegetables per day. Some people don't have any vegetables, which I don't know how people live like that. To each their own, but everyone should have fruits and vegetables in as much as possible. What easier way to do it? Get a spoonful, mix it in water, and you get, let me just read off the thing, a full serving of vegetables, a full serving of fruit, antioxidant power, and boosted immunity. It is a food, not a supplement, not an extract, which means that. Thus, it is USDA organic. And hold on, my eyes are really getting bad these days. Holy crab apples. Where did it say made in America? Made in America. That's what I'm looking for. 1 spoonful is a serving of fruits and vegetables, antioxidants, immune boosting power. It's healthy stuff. And it's certainly better and a healthier habit than a Red Bull. Better, healthier habit than a soft drink, even a diet one. Those things are toxic factories. It's good stuff. It actually tastes good. And I'm not just saying that to say that it tastes good. And by the way, if you use the promo code HEALTH It's black. Oh, there's an additional discount for Black Friday. Hold on a second. Let me actually make sure that I remember, because it's Thanksgiving week. I almost forgot. Thanksgiving week, so there's an additional discount for. Hold on. Let me make sure that I don't forget anything important. That's Black Friday. So I don't believe it's Black Friday. So if you're looking for something to get for someone you like, promo code HEALTH, and you'll get 15% off your first order. And I believe you'll get 10% off subscriptions if you so subscribe. But fieldofgreens.com. It's good stuff. I like it. I use it. I spent a half an hour on the phone with the doctor, making sure that it's something I could get behind. He came on for a live interview promo on the channel, fielded some questions. Vegetables? Like the stuff my food eats. Yes, I've tried that argument. You cannot get a daily serving of vegetables from a cow when you eat a steak, even though all that cow ever eats is vegetables. That being said, I stand by my argument that vegetarians have no good grounds to be vegetarians, because a cow can be nothing more than that which it eats. And if it only eats grass, when I eat the flesh of a cow, all that I am eating is the byproduct of grass. How can something turn into something else? It can't. It can't. Grass cannot become meat. Therefore, when I'm eating a cow, I am being a good vegetarian. Fieldofgreens.com, people, thank you very much to the sponsor. It's a good product, and now you know. Pick it, lick it, roll it, flick it. That has to be a booger joke. Oh, and by the way, thank you for reminding me, Robert Gallagher. Super chats. Anybody who wants to support the channel, thank you very much. You don't have to, but if you choose to do it, I greatly appreciate it. YouTube takes 30% of all those super chats. If you don't want to support YouTube, but you want to support the channel, we're simultaneously streaming on Rumble. The link to Rumble is pinned, so you can go there when we shut this down here in a few minutes. Rumble has a thing called Rumble Rants, like super chats. They take 20%. Better for the creator, better for the platform. To support a platform that actually supports free speech. What about Al? We're getting to Al. Don't worry about it. We're getting to Al. Oh, it's a weed joke. Well, hold on a second. That would explain why I don't get it. What was I just about to say? Rumble. Oh, yes, that's right. No medical advice? No medical advice, people. When I cite anything, I'll cite a doctor so that I can cover my tushy. CMT. Or cover your arse, as we like to say. No medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. But we're going to talk about some stuff today. Viva got a sponsor. Now he can afford a haircut finally. Never. I only sub for the hair. I need to update the stream app. I need to update my stream photo because the hair is way too short. Save the planet, eat the farting cows. Meat is good, period. I appreciate people, but okay, forget it. A discussion for another day. What do we want to start with? We got Al Roker. We got How Not to Lawyer, courtesy of Paul Champ from the Ottawa Emergencies Act Commission. We've got so much. Let's start with the video that I was going to start with, actually. Let's start with this. Oh, we're going to get to Kanye, by the way. Hold on. Let me just. I got a lot of notes in the background. Okay, not. We're going to get to this guy Jeremy Nollet, who's a Canadian politician, pushing the jibby jab with impunity. It's beautiful. Oh, you know why it's not in my backdrop? Because I just tweeted it when I was walking the dog. Hold on. Twitter. Here we go. There are two rules, but really one rule of law, and it has an exception. If anybody has not seen what I humbly think is the best law movie ever, a civil action, John Travolta, Robert Duvall, and I forget who else is in it. The cardinal rule of law, or at the very least litigation, cross-examination, the cardinal rule, it's a cliche, it's a meme. It's a kid knows it, and the kid will not know why they know it. Never ask a question to which you do not know the answer. Now, there is an exception in law, in strategy here. You can ask a question when it doesn't matter what the answer is, because either answer is going to doom the person. You can ask that. There are very few situations in which that superseding rule trumps the original rule of not asking a question to which you do not know the answer. Paul Champ is one of the lawyers at the Emergencies Act inquiry, which comes to an end this week. For those of you who have been following the channel, you know what the Emergencies Act inquiry is. Subsequent to Justin Trudeau's, in my humble opinion, abusive, unconstitutional, and in as much as it could be unlawful invocation of the Emergencies Act, under the law, within a certain period of time, there has to be an investigation, a commission, to investigate the circumstances surrounding the invocation of the Emergencies Act. We are now living through that inquiry. Now, the inquiry is not, despite what some people think it is, it's not a reaffirming of the government's decision, sort of like a uni-party. What's the opposite of bipartisan? A partisan. Oh, shit. That's going to be clipped, and I'm going to... What's the opposite of bipartisan, people? Unlike the January 6th committee, this inquiry is, in fact, bipartisan. It's pluripartisan. There are many diverging interests, and they are conducting this inquiry in an actual adversarial sense. To investigate Justin Trudeau's invocation of the Emergencies Act, you have various parties. You have the government, which is an interested party in that it wants to defend its decision to invoke the act. So everything they're going to adduce as evidence, all of their partisan framing is, we had no choice, it was necessary. You have the commission itself, and that's supposed to be the neutral element, not pro-government and not pro-protesters, not pro-anybody. They're there to get to the bottom of it. And so they ask questions in a neutral, objective fashion just to get the facts out. You then have the Coalition of Ottawa Citizens, partisan. They want to show how hard their lives were under the protest, that the government was justified in invoking the Emergencies Act because OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, OPS, the Ottawa Police Services, incapable of resolving the occupation. And so it was necessary. Who else? You have the OPP. What their interest is, I'm not exactly certain, but they are interested parties in that they want to defend their own conduct. Same thing for the OPS. You have the convoy, and the convoy wants to show they're an interested party, partisan. They want to show that it was absolutely abusive to invoke the act. There was no emergency, no nothing, no violence. Yeah, nothing. It was abusive constitutional overreach and should be sanctioned. In as much as this commission can sanction, which it can't, it can only issue conclusions, recommendations, etc. So it is a truly bipartisan or pluralist show. And it is a bit of a show. So who's down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. That's never going to get old, by the way. So Paul Champ is representing the members of the class action lawsuit, Zexi Lee, who's one of the parties as well. Paul Champ, I don't judge broadly individuals, period. No, but he's got a bumper sticker on his computer that has been in plain sight for the better part of this commission that says not eat the rich, I'm sorry, tax the rich. I just watched the documentary Eat the Rich on GameStop. We'll talk about that later today as well. I'm not judging the person, but I'm coming to conclusions. The lawyer representing Zexi Lee and the other petitioners to the class action that's seeking like $300 million in damages from this protest has a bumper sticker on his computer that he brought to court, that he made visible for the cameras, that says tax the rich. I question his litigator skills. People can make fun of me all day long. I'm an eccentric, a wacko. I don't practice law anymore. I must have sucked. Okay. I am used to those baseless and ignorant critiques. I was good and I was damn good. I don't talk about it very much because I don't like talking about those types of things. I was known as a bulldog or a pit bull. I forget which. I do a lot of things badly. I do some things very well. Multitask, cross-examine, listen, detect lies, detect buffoonery, and I've got a good memory. I don't draft without making typos, but you grow to live with that. So setting all that aside, 13 years of practice, I was good. So set those insults aside. I can tell you what the problem is here. We're going to listen to this once, and then we're going to flesh it out a little bit. This is Paul Champ. He's interviewing someone from the government police, RCA. I forget who they're interviewing. Oh, crap. I forgot that. You see, weakness.
But Mr. Vigneault, let's just be clear that if someone's making a threat against a public official because they're trying to influence that public official.
This is Paul Champ trying to justify the invocation of the Emergencies Act on the basis that threatening a political individual falls within Section 2C of the CSIS, the Canadian Security and Intelligence Services Act, which sets out the threshold or the criteria for invoking the Emergencies Act through cross-referencing. We'll get there.
That inherently falls under 2C, does it not? Now, it may be that you don't view the threat as credible, but if it was a credible threat, it would inherently fall under 2C, would it not?
I think that if you, that's why we've took a lot of pain to inside the service and working with partners to better understand how the IMV phenomenon was.
IMVE, ideologically motivated violent extremism, which has become the buzzword of the days. But by the way, just pay attention right now. The person who's answering doesn't want to make Paul Champ unhappy, and he's giving him the indication it's not the answer you're going to want, so I'm not giving it to you, and I'm giving you a very lengthy roundabout answer, so move on, which Paul Champ does not.
Interacting with the CSIS Act, and Ms. Khan walked us through earlier a description of how we go through the process of understanding this, what will be the sphere of CSIS responsibility, what will be the sphere of the law enforcement responsibility, and that's why
he's not reading the witness right now. The witness does not want to give the answer that he needs to give to this question, and so he's giving a roundabout evasive answer to indicate the answer is not going to be what you want.
I'm saying is that this is not black and white. It's dynamic, and this is why people talk to each other on an ongoing basis.
Sir, please, I'd like to give you lots of, normally I'd like to give witnesses full time to answer, but I only have a limited time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to get an answer because I believe I've asked it a few times here.
You have asked it a few times, and he's avoided the answer a few times. What might that tell you, Mr. Champ?
If someone is threatening a public official because they want to influence that public official to take some policy choice, does that not inherently fall under 2C? Yes or no?
Each case is looked on a case-by-case basis.
By the way, did you notice the witness's face? Look at how he goes like this, which also should be an answer.
2C, yes or no?
Look at his face there.
Each case is looked on a case-by-case basis, and it would not be, a default proposition.
So if someone's threatening to kill a mayor or a premier because they want them to drop a public health measure, that does not necessarily fall under 2C. Is that your testimony, sir?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't
Mr. Vigneault,
argue. You can't argue your way into the answer that you want. Let me just say it's Section 2C CSIS. So this is in order to justify the invocation of the Emergencies Act, which is the replacement to Canada's War Measures Act. There has to be a threat to national security, infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. From what I understand, and this is probably learning material for any lawyer, Canadian or otherwise, because it's never been invoked before, the Emergencies Act, as the criteria for national security, threat, or whatever, it points back or cross-references to, what is this called? The Canadian Security Intelligence Services Act. And it says in this act, and we go down to, where was it? Here, threats to security of Canada. Are we looking at the same thing? We are. Threats to security of Canada means, and we go down to C, 2C. By the way, when you're a kid, 2C is tushy. Activities within or relating to Canada directed toward or in support of the threat or use of act of serious violence against persons of Canada, persons or property of Canada for the purposes of achieving political terrorism. I mean, that's another word for terrorism. So Paul Champ, in trying to compel this witness to give an answer that is not the truthful answer because it's just not the case, wants this witness to say any threat against any public official at any time, by definition, is Section 2C of the CSIS Act, and therefore necessarily, by definition, intrinsically, inherently, fundamentally triggers or justifies the invocation of the Emergencies Act, to which the guy said no. And if Paul Champ had been listening to this witness and listening to his body language, he would have known he was not going to get the answer that he thought he was going to get or that he wanted, because it's not the right answer. Masterclass in how not to ask a question, how not to conduct a cross-examination. Don't ask a question if you don't know the answer, unless it's one of those rare cases where either answer is going to damn you or damn the witness. And rule number 2, when you're in a hole, stop digging. Or the Viva Fry variation, when you've stepped in dog dew, stop running around the house. Dude stepped in dog crap and went nuts, and then like, was jumping off the walls. He was getting poop in places where he's not even going to be able to clean it from. So that was the fun part of watching this morning. Rob A. in Rumble says, not the right question. Not the right question indeed. Yeah, so it's more the same. Now, the big issue or the big news of the week, apparently or allegedly, we'll see if it happens. Justin Trudeau to testify at Emergencies Act. Justin Trudeau is supposed to testify this week. Let's see where the... Here we go. National Post. Justin Trudeau is supposed to testify this week. I've made a prediction that he won't because he's a coward. On Twitter, can't take it down. I might be wrong, but it'll be one of those things where I will be happy to be wrong. If Justin Trudeau testifies, I will be sipping on a cup of Field of Greens, watching that live and reacting in real time. Justin Trudeau to face the Emergencies Act inquiries. Big question. Why did you do it? Well, it's a very complicated. There was immediate threats of sexual assault as confirmed by pathological liar Mark what's his first name? Mendocino. There were bouncy castles. By the way, get your bouncy castles happen shirt at Viva Fry. I'll show you that in a second. When Trudeau and his ministers appear before the commission this week, they will have to explain why they felt their judgment was better. When? If Justin Trudeau, we'll see, man. If he testifies, if he actually shows up, my goodness, it's going to be amazing. The inquiry itself is triggered automatically by language in the act. You all know that now because we get smarter together. Trudeau's cabinet set the terms of the inquiry by asking Justice Rouleau to look at issues around alleged foreign funding for the Freedom Convoy. That's funny. It's funny. Foreign funding for the Freedom Convoy. When there's alleged foreign funding of federal government elected officials. Am I wearing the confession through projection? Nope. A little confession through projection there, Justin Trudeau. You think your enemies are doing what you're doing because that's the framework through which you see the world. But in his opening statements, Rouleau made it clear he considered the inquiry's goal to be its focus will remain squarely on the decision of the federal government. Why did it declare an emergency? How did it use its powers? And were those actions appropriate? Rouleau said. Oh, I'll have a WWE climax. That gif of the guy in the seat. If Rouleau asks Trudeau questions and gets mad at Trudeau for his pathologically evasive, disingenuous, dishonest answers, we'll watch it together in real time, people. But let's just see if there's a date on when Trudeau's supposed to testify. Threats to security of Canada. On February 14, Trudeau declared a public emergency, yada, yada, an emergency that arises threats to the security of Canada. And then it goes here. The phrase threats to security of Canada has a specific definition, the same definition as in CSIS. And as Paul Champ just sadly discovered, no, Paul Champ, it doesn't mean that every time someone threatens an elected official, you invoke the Emergencies Act, you buffoon. Respectfully submitted. Can't call people buffoons in courts. Buffoon is my conclusion from acts of buffoonery. When Trudeau and his cabinet colleagues appear before the commission next week. No. When is this from? This is not going on next week. No, this ends this week. This ends this week. Okay, well, I'll get clear on the date. When was this article written? No, this week is supposed to be the last week. Oh, maybe it is next week. Oh gosh, another week? No, this cannot go into December. Maybe it got an extra week because it was taking too long. When Trudeau takes the cabinet, yada, 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 they will have to explain why they felt the judgment. Okay. Trudeau and several of his cabinets will swear an oath and face questions both from Inquiry Council and from lawyers representing provincial government. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, anyways, the rest of it we know. CSIS advised that implementation of the Emergencies Act would likely galvanize the anti-government narratives within the convoy and further the radicalization of some towards violence, it said. Yep. And Trudeau knew that, and that's why he invoked it. Because he wanted that further radicalization and he wanted that violence. He wanted that violence because in real time, invoking the act and lashing out in violence, it happens simultaneously. And in retrospect, for a disingenuous, dishonest government, it actually happens before the invocation. Look at how violent that crowd was invoking the Emergencies Act was necessary. He wanted it and he never got it, but for the grace of God. Okay, let's see what we got here. Did I get some super? So that's the latest on the Emergencies Act inquiry for today, but I'll have to double check on the schedule because I thought it ended this week. Super chat. Al Roker in the hospital. Tommy from the Power Rangers passed. Man, this week is rough already. Hoping you and yours are well, Viva. Power Rangers took his own life, from what I read. We'll get to Al Roker, and it's nothing to do with Schadenfreude. It's to do with, at some point in time, it's immoral not to ask the questions because other people are going to suffer similar fates and they might be preventable or avoidable. Kangaroos, they're the solution. They don't fart. They also have exquisitely lean, healthy meat, and they're pests in Australia. I've had kangaroo meat multiple times. It's actually very good. I would have spent less money on recycling and saved more if I knew the 2015 agreement would force expensive changes on large corporations that always fall under the consumer. Why didn't they warn us? I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about. But thank you. Let's go over to Rumble. Let's do this. Hold on. I'm going to get the Rumble link and we will. Oh, there's a Rumble rant. I would put $5 on COVID excuse, says Medic Deb. Here, I'm going to give everybody the link again on YouTube. I can do it right through here. Okay, hold on. I just went live here. Let me put the link in here. Link again. Let's mosey on over to Rumble, people. Let's vote with our feet. Let's support with our dollar, and come to an end on Rumble and bring the party over to end the party on YouTube. Brian Fox, former journalist, had Nazi flag at convoy. Let me screen grab that and see if I can independently verify that. Okay, let's do it. Head on over to Rumble. We are ending on YouTube in 3, 2, 1. Booyah. Wait, not yet. 1,500 people should be migrating to Rumble. Let's do this now.